Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. Thank you, Mr. Producer. I am joined by the one and only Tina Marian. Tina, you do so much work with. I know your story. I know how you got here with the teaching, the nursing, how you're helping people, and you went out on your own, and your clients are thanking you for it. If I saw you on the street and people never saw your show before, hey, Tina, what do you do? What's your business like? Just to reiterate.
Okay, just to reiterate, I would say, you know what? You got stuff that's bothering you. Do you feel stuck in an area of your life? I can help you. Okay. I find the less you say, the better. In the beginning, I would try to explain it all, and I do that, and it scares people. But most people can appreciate. I feel stuck. I'd like to do more. I'd like to be different. I'd like this or that, and they just don't know how to bridge over to that. And so through over, I would say, 15 years of self-discovery, discovery of how life operates, how to help people, why we're here to begin with. Through that, I've created this wonderful, unique business, an approach to helping people. And my years in nursing has helped to shape that, my ability to work with people. You know, once I stepped into this realm, and I was in traditional nursing for many, many years, but there was something driving me to do more in a holistic manner. I didn't even know what the word holistic meant, but I had this strong desire. I think people sometimes get desires to do things and they just squash them out because they don't know how to get there. So I have helped an enormous amount of people. And again, working in that traditional system, which I was like dying to get out of it, because I didn't feel that the traditional medical system, aside from instances in emergency medicine, things that are, it's amazing to me how that system works well. But when it comes to chronic disease and illness, it was lacking, and I wanted to do something more. So I went out on this path, I could say a life path. And for the past 15 years, I've been just gleaning all this information. I've transformed my own life, and I'm still transforming. We're never done. You're never going to arrive and say, that's it, I'm done. It's not that way. It's a constant till the day you die. It's a constant learning and being open to what's there for you. But you know, what gets in the way is ego. I already know it. Don't tell me anything. No, my belief system is fine. Get out of here. And that's why people are stuck. They're not living free and easy and enjoying their life. That's me in a nutshell. And I think that my nursing and my desire to share, that's what teachers do. They want to share information, was a beautiful get together. And then at the age of 63, I was let go of a very lovely job that I really enjoyed. I directed a psychiatric triage department at a hospital in Massachusetts.
You did a lot of work at helping people with addictions, didn't you?
I did that as well. Yeah, psych and addictions were my go-to areas of nursing that I learned to love. These were the disenfranchised populations that nobody else wanted to work with. And I would find a lot of people, nurses especially, and counselors, would work in that field, and they had a grudge. Okay, so they were transferring their own personal beliefs about certain populations that they were experiencing in their own life, and they take it out. They wouldn't understand what drives an addiction. What drives an addiction is, hey, addictions work initially. People don't land on an addiction if it didn't do something for them in the beginning.
Right.
And when you break that down, it's usually it alleviates anxiety. It numbs you out. You have to deal with it.
Yeah.
Let me just have my wine. Let me just have my marijuana. Let me just have whatever. Yeah. And I could step out. You know, so if addictions work, and if it continued to work, you'd keep it up. But what happens is it starts to break down. It starts to destroy your life. And you could be in denial for a lot of it and just think that it's not really happening, but it happens. And so these people that land in treatment centers, I've worked with enough to know that they're either going to get it or they're not. And they may spend 6 months in a halfway house, walk out at the door and go right to the bar, right to the packy. These are the kind of people that I would get. These are the people that I was gifted to work with because I was put in this field, right in the hospital, right in the traditional setting.
Mhm.
And so it was a gift. In retrospect, that was great because I had all these years with an administrative department that supported my work. And not many holistic people were allowed to do that. You couldn't bring that into the mix. So I was clear with my boundaries. I'm not going to bite the hand that feeds me. My paycheck is my paycheck.
Yeah.
So I would never say, oh, well, stop this medication. Don't take that. It's hurting you. But I would say, some of the stuff I teach people how to do to self-apply, you might feel less anxious. Maybe you won't need all that medication. Maybe you could get by with a little. So I was allowed to work within that framework, and it was great.
Mhm.
So when I lost my job, I had to decide, well, do I sink or do I swim? I'm not going to get that paycheck. My work family, which was very important to me, my coworkers, they're gone. My structure, everything I thought I knew I had securely was taken away. And this is what happens. So you sink or swim. You're either going to survive or you're going to fall deeper into an abyss. So fortunately for me, I trusted my instincts and I went with it and I decided to throw myself in. I still stayed in nursing, but more in a per diem fashion. But I decided to stick with the psychiatric and addiction patients.
Mhm.
And I loved it till the day I retired.
Okay.
And now that's it. I mean, I'm still working on a farm. I work
Yeah,
on a
you told
farm
me that.
as
Yeah.
a farmer now, and I love it because it's allows me to be with nature. Um, it's just a whole different ball game. There's no union dues. There's no 7 a.m. start. You don't need a license. I just
Mhm.
show up and I love the people that I meet. And I feel like in a way, they're kind of like my clients as well. You know what? If I can give them a happy face and a smile and a compliment, I can make their day.
Yeah.
And that's what people don't realize. You can make or break someone's day, all with your attitude, all what you bring to the table when you wake up in the morning. When you wake up in the morning, you get to kind of decide which way you're going to go. And that's why getting back to belief system.
That's what I was going to say. Does that have anything to do with the belief system?
Absolutely. If you believe life sucks, oh God, I get no luck at all. It's just another day to get through. My life stinks. You got to look at that, because if that's the belief system you're working from, everything's going to follow suit. Because remember, your beliefs, they trend up and they become an energetic vibration. So you can't talk about belief system without discussing an energetic vibration that you put out. You emit a vibration, whether you know it or not, whether you like it or not. And you know this, you said, so that's why when you walk into a room full of ugly or angry people, you feel it. Of course you do. You are a vibrational being. You can't not be. And even, Albert Einstein knew this. He understood we're all energy. And energy is nothing more than a vibration.
So you're saying kind of our thoughts become things.
Reality.
Reality. Okay, that's better.
Okay,
Way to
so
put it.
I think it was Henry Ford said, if you believe you can or you believe you can't, you're right.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do? And what's holds you back from stepping out and shining? This is why I went ahead with this podcast, even though I swore I'd never do this again, because I've done it many times.
This topic.
Well, this whole idea of putting myself out there.
Okay.
So to do it again, I had to think long and hard. I had to use discernment. Discernment is a whole nother thing. And maybe in our next podcast, we could talk about the art of discernment. I had to decide for myself and use discernment as to whether this was a good idea or not. And so trusting your discernment and going with what you feel, truly feel, your discernment will give you your truth. And that's why learning kinesiology, muscle testing, your truth lies within yourself. So if you're looking outside for all your answers, to a degree, it's helpful to open yourself up to what's out there. But man, you got to be able to be discerning. Look at the world right now. Oh my God. There's so much information that's coming at us every single day. So you could stop and say, well, the world's a mess. Why should I even try? It doesn't matter anywhere. We'll be blown up. Or you could say, I don't know. I just think the universe, you could say universe, spirit, God, whatever you want to say, has a plan for this world, for us. And we're very, very special, each one of us, and we're all gifted. And so to find your purpose is so important. And you could be, oh my God, think if there were no trash emptiers in the world. Think if nobody did that job. Think if nobody washed the dishes in your restaurant when you went to eat. Think about how important everyone can be, depending on what they feel is their job, their position, their gift. You got to go for it.
Yeah.
And not everybody's going to be out there like everybody knows your name and you're really famous and you've done all this wonderful work. There are those people. But Mother Teresa said it best, not everybody's going to do great things, but everyone can do small things with great love. And I love that.
I like it too.
I love that. Everyone can do something small. So, there was this thing years ago, practice random acts of kindness. And we had our little mottos on our refrigerator magnets. Yeah, it's one thing to say it. It's another thing to do it.
Yes.
So little tiny gifts that you give, and you're not looking for anything in return.
Just to make someone's day.
That's the thing. People do things and they go, well, she didn't say thank you. Or I let this person cross the street and they didn't even say thank you. Like, well, why are you doing it then? Are you doing it because you need something? Okay, so let's roll back to what's that belief? I need people to do things so I feel better. No, let that really sink in. This is what we want to do. We want to change people. We want to have people be different than who they are. Roll it back to, what do you believe? I'm only happy if they treat me this way. Because why? There's a strategy. Something happened a long time ago, and now you believe that people owe you something. They owe you something. And so if you do something, that's why I love, my husband's into sports. That's not my thing, but he'll tell me about these players who make a lot of money and how behind the scenes they're gifting. They're gifting children. They're gifting people who have had hard times. They give, and they're not looking for any kind of hurrah. They're just doing it because they've got awesome. It. And that's what I think what it's all about. So if you're greedy, you're like Midas and you want to keep your money and you don't want to share it, or what's the belief that supports that? There isn't enough. I can't give it away. Well, let me tell you something. When you give it away, when you are generous, when you're gifting others without any hurrah, without any need for applause, God, spirit, universe, call it what you will, recognizes that vibrational energy that's going out, this energy of generosity, of pure spirit, and it will kind of give you back. Again, this gets back to what you give is what you get. What you put out is what you get. If you put out a belief of helplessness, loneliness, nobody likes me, life sucks, yeah, you're going to keep on getting it. But you can't just turn that off. You can't just say, well, okay, I think I'm just going to be a positive thinker. Good luck. Again, let's get down to the foundation cement, that thing that builds your house, so to speak. If you have that belief, if your belief is kind of screwed up, your whole life's going to be screwed up. Simple as that. So again, I, as a coach, help people. And I've had a lot of different things. You can look at my bio on my website, how many things I pulled in to learn about to be able to be effective. I want to be effective. And nothing scares me anymore. When I was little, I was about a Catholic, and they say nothing shocks a priest. Well, nothing shocks me either. I don't care who you are. You can come to me with any set of problems, emotional upheaval, things you want to change. And man,
you bet you've done this for a little more than a day. you know the deal.
I know the deal. So it's a continual, practice. I keep getting led to things. I keep getting, books that will just fall into my, oh, wow, I never thought about this before. So I continue to learn, and I continue to make sure that I expand my own consciousness so that I could be effective.
Gotcha.
We talk about the belief systems. Do you believe there's life after death? Do you believe when you die, you die?
Some sort. Yeah, I do.
Okay. So that's important. A lot of people just feel like, nope, that's it. Get buried in a hole and that's the end of your life.
Very scary.
That's right. So again, but how do you know? And this is where discernment comes in, because no one's going to call you up on the phone and say, absolutely, this is absolutely true. This is it. You're not going to get that. You have philosophies, you have theories, you have people that say this and people who say that. And you better brush up, hone in on your skill of discernment so you can recognize truth for yourself, truth. And again, there's not a rubber stamp on it. You've just got to open yourself up to whatever it takes so that you practice your discernment. I trained with Carol Look, who was a master in a technique called emotional freedom techniques. And I worked with her for a good amount of years. And she'd say, when you know it and you know her. You know what I'm saying? You know it. When you hear a truth and you know it and you know her, that's your discernment at work. That makes sense?
Yeah.
You kind of have to sift through the rubble. And what gets in the way? Again, it's ego. It's like, I have to be right. I have to be right. So I'm not open to anything that you say. This is why we're all so divided.
Right.
I'm right, you're wrong, you're right, I'm wrong. We're just fighting. And I think that's the ultimate goal of the people whose intention is to just destroy, get everybody fighting. If you get them fighting, they'll destroy themselves.
Yeah.
Don't walk into that ring. Just find people's opinions, their opinions. It's interesting that you think that. You don't have to change their minds. You're not out to do anything but
really, do you think you could if you even tried?
No.
Why would you want to?
You can't.
Right.
You can't. Living by example is a good thing.
Yeah, no doubt.
Especially when you're a parent raising children. You can tell your children all you want to, you blue in the face. Show them how to be generous. Show them how to be kind and open. And I used to take my kids when they were really little, back in the day before everything was so battered down, we would make chocolate bars and we'd bring them to the nursing home. They were little. And I'd take them into the nursing home and we'd go around and I'd bring my kids. It was Easter time and we'd give out these chocolate bunnies and they were so happy. And my kids will still talk about that. So again, I wasn't looking for anything but just to brighten somebody's day. I was working in a nursing home and I saw a lot of sadness and loneliness and brokenness. And I thought, well, how can I pep them up a little bit? And my two little boys, I would bring them and we'd make baskets. And this was just an example. And I didn't have to say anything other than we're going to make these people a little happy. They still talk about it.
Nice. That's beautiful. Hey, we're running out of time, but I at least want to get in one question here. So let me go to the instant feedback. Let's take one question here. What do you got here, Mr. Producer?
All right, we have an anonymous one that just came in that says, what is the first step to being able to change our belief system?
Good one.
The first step is to know what you believe. You've got to have the ability to break it down to the barest belief that you can muster up. And this is where sometimes having a coach, because what will happen is when you start digging down like this, the same old ego will pull you back a little bit. So the first step would be finding out, what do you believe? And I like to use the word because. I'm doing this because I feel this way, because I believe this, because I believe that. In other words, a lot of times the belief is nothing more than I have to be right. Okay. So then finish the sentence. I'll say, I have to be right because why? Why do you have to be right? Answer it. Why do you have to be right? And they'll say something like, because I have to be perfect. Okay, say this. I have to be perfect because, well, if I do something wrong, I'll get into trouble. This is where it all begins. I have to be right. I have to be perfect. And if I don't, I feel inadequate. And then everything builds off of that. I don't know if that answered the question because we are always time limited here, but you've got to start to be honest with yourself.
Yeah.
And we talked about this last time, that it's got to get better. It's got to get worse before it gets better. There has to be some discombobulation when you start to break up an energy system, a belief system that's carried you through all these years, to have to step back and understand you were just on the wrong path. That's okay. It's okay. The judgment that we bring to the table, judging others, judging ourselves, it's like this constant misplaced energy of judgmentalism.
Yeah.
And that's what we do. We do it. And that's why, the media knows this. And so they want to throw all this stuff at us. You've got to back out of it. And you got to go up 40,000 feet and look down and see what's going on. And again, discernment, all this stuff gets to play into it. The first step is to, if you can do this on your own, fine. If you can just keep asking yourself, because I do this, because I do this, and if I don't, it's because. Keep asking yourself until you get down to a belief system. And usually belief systems are things like, I'm not good enough, I have to be better, because success is for everybody, not me, I'm not adequate. There's a whole ton of these beliefs that kind of run the show. Life isn't fair, people can't be trusted. Your behavior cannot change unless you understand how your beliefs have been riding you around like a van, just driving you here and there. And they're just put into place because of life. I don't know if that answered the question.
No, it's well said. Mr. Producer, we got time for one more? Okay. Thank you, whoever that was.
We have Katie in Michigan wants to know, is there such thing as a fully selfless good deed?
Yes.
How about an example?
Again, we go back to, am I doing this because I need something from this person? Am I doing this because it's going to make me feel good about myself? Selfless is the operative word in this question. Yes, you're doing it just because. No other reason. Not to get something out of it, because you are doing it just because it seems to you the right thing to do. Again, we go back to people. Oh, I let them cross the street. I baked my neighbor a pie. Oh, she really loved it. Now she's asking for pies every other day. Get into these predicaments.
Yeah.
But if you do it out of genuine love, and if you recognize someone's taking advantage of you, you got to be able to step in and stop that. It's called boundaries.
Boundaries.
Happens a lot. Well, people will start to put themselves out, and they start off thinking that they're selfless and just wonderful, and they're doing it out of love, and that's fine, and that's great. Keep doing it if you want, if that makes you feel better, only because you're helping somebody else out. But if you're doing it because you're getting something out of it, makes you feel better, pumps you up. Aren't I great? Look at me.
Intention.
Yep. I need attention. Okay. I need attention. Why? Break it down.
Well, I was saying intention. What's your intention of doing it? Is it to make me feel better, or am I doing it because I want to help that person, like you're saying? I get it.
It's true selfless.
Yeah.
It's not about me. It's all about you. And most people are running on, what do I get out of it?
Right.
Makes me feel better. So
yeah, it's totally different. Hey, let me give you the last word. Anything that you want the audience to know, how we get a hold of you? I believe it's medicinemyway.us.
Yes,
Is that the
that is.
US?
I just wrote my newsletter. I just sent it out. People are liking it a lot. And again, it's not about, oh, I need them to like my newsletter. It's out, am I delivering a message that people find helpful and give them something to think about? That's what I do. I like to put out information that I've learned that I use in my own life and share it. There's the teacher, just to share it.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully, I can't attach to the outcome. This is what we do. We attach to the outcome. Well, if I don't get 27 likes, that doesn't, no. You just put it out there and you just allow it to be what it is. And if people can read it and say, wow, that got me thinking, that made my day. I get a lot of feedback sometimes from that. People will say, God, that's just what I needed to hear today. Thank you.
Right.
And I'm not doing it for that reason. I'm just glad that something that I did behaviorally could be for the greater good. We need more greater good in this world like we never have before. I don't think we're ever going back. We're moving forward. So we have to bring our best selves into the mix.
Gotcha. Guys, the one and only Tina Marian. Tina, thank you so much.
Okay. And just
appreciate
one
you
more
getting
thing.
loaded in. I'll get to you at a.
I
another
have,
time. We ran out of time here today, but Tina,
I
thank you
have
so
two
much.
I do have 2 workshops coming up, one virtual and one live. So that's on my website too.
Okay, great. Thank you, Tina.
Okay.
Have a great day.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.